Hello, everybody, and welcome. We are here on LinkedIn Live with the lovely Gina London, as usual. Gina, Gina is a fantastic communications coach, and she's also an ex-CNN correspondent. So, Gina, tell people a little bit about yourself before we kick off.
Hello, everyone. I'm really grateful for you to be joining us on this LinkedIn Live. And thanks to Sam, who is really the host with the most. I can't say enough great things about doing this series with you. I come from a CNN background. Yes, I was a journalist. Now I've taken that storytelling and on-camera presence that I developed, I was not born with, to help other people around the world take more control of how they communicate and connect with others and themselves. I do it through keynotes, I do it through one-on-one coaching, I do it through team training, but mostly I do it from my heart. And that's a lot of what we're going to be talking about today is how do you keep your heart and your head in check when you get what life deals out to all of us, which is a setback. So I'm really grateful for today's opportunity to share from the heart about this really important topic because none of us get out of life without a little rain falling upon us. And sometimes it's a mist, sometimes it's a deluge, but for sure we don't get out of this thing we call life without a little bit of it at some point. And I've had a couple of good weeks of it myself. So I feel I am real, I'm smiling and there are tears behind my eyes, folks. It has been a difficult couple of weeks for a variety of reasons with which I won't share the details, but enough to say that please, I know right now what it feels like to keep going when parts, not all of my world, has been hit around me.
And this is it. There's so many things, like it could be grief, it could be a breakup, it could be maybe, you injured yourself or something. Maybe it's somebody hurt you. And if someone hurts you, maybe that can really play on your head. I know with me, I always try and say to people, like, don't let them have free rent in your head if someone is kind of, but I know for me, and we're going to talk about this kind of stuff as well, is I know for me, I keep showing up. I suit up. I always say suit up and show up, even if your world is falling apart. It can be very difficult to do.
Well, let's first set some ground rules that we are not talking only about the workplace
Mm-hmm.
because life is not just the workplace.
Mm-hmm.
And another one of these misconceptions around work-life balance, there is no such thing. It is a life that we have. We have a personal life and a professional life. No, we just have a life. So personal things impact the professional. Professional things can happen and hurt the personal. And it doesn't have to be life shattering. We say when the world is falling apart, missing a deadline, sending an email to the person you were talking about to the other person, there are little tiny mistakes that can really impact you. Losing your car keys when you're walking out to the car and you're trying to get to an appointment can go from what could be just a small mistake to the feeling of overwhelmed that I'm a failure at everything.
Mm-hmm.
That our tendency to catastrophize sometimes things is not to say that it isn't worthwhile. My mom has said to me, and I love this, that while others may have had a broken leg, your hangnail still is hurting you. So I'm not here at all to say it has to be a world shakeup for you to be here with us today. If you've had a minor setback, it might just be on top of a number of other little minor setbacks that is that camel that makes you feel like Sam was saying that you just want to curl up and stay in bed for the next week or two. And I have had big tragedies in my life, like when my father died or my marriage broke up. I have had smaller mistakes or setbacks when I thought for example, sent a proposal. I spent hours before ChatGPT writing this proposal for this big organization, hit send, didn't realize that it didn't go to their inbox because for some reason they had a capacity issue, but I didn't see that prompt. And then a week or two later, when I finally followed up, go, hey, I haven't heard from you. The would-be client said, oh, we never got your proposal. We went in another direction.
Oh no.
And that's not a death or a grief, but it's a missed opportunity that I hit myself so hard about because I thought, if only I had responded to them more quickly or followed up the next day or maybe double checked on my notifications and all these things that I think it's important to remind ourselves that we have a range of setbacks, not just in a year, but maybe even in an hour. And it's not to minimize or be glib about this stuff, but I think the very first thing for all of us to remember is that you're not alone. When you get hit with something, someone else has had this experience. It doesn't mean that you are to not feel it. I think, know you're not alone and know that it's okay to feel it. Is it grief? Is it a feeling of frustration with yourself? Is it being hurt, like you said, Sam? And telling yourself, I'm not alone and that I can feel it is the beginning. It's not the solution. The solution is going to probably take some time and there's some steps along the way. So what I'd like, if you're listening right now, if you feel comfortable, you can share some of the types of losses or setbacks or frustrations that you've had. And it doesn't have to be, as I said, catastrophic world fall apart stuff. It can be those seemingly smaller things, but it just sometimes happens in that timeline of our lives that gives it more than maybe impact than we would have thought if we were in a different situation in our life. And to please know that, as I see Sam nodding her head, because we know each other quite well, and I know some of the real difficulties she's gone through, and we're both here right now to say, one, that we've experienced difficulties and loss in our lives, and breakups and setbacks and business things and professional things and personal things. And we've both been single moms and raised daughters, which has its own
that's fun
setbacks that we can all share. But, we really want you to know that we're here. And I can also walk through some steps that have helped me in recent days, for example. And
Yes,
hopefully give you some encouragement to take some action. And the number one thing that I would say too is feel it, acknowledge it, feel it, be kind to yourself, and do get up. Do get up. And as hard as it is, for example, this morning, and I have been struggling. I'll be honest, I've been in tears for the last couple of days, not floods where I can't get out of bed, but there have been moments where the dip happens and a couple of tears happen and you feel it and you keep going. So this morning, I have been really good over the last 6, maybe 8 weeks now of getting to the gym 5 days a week. And that has become my mental health daily start. And I've actually not just noticed the physical results, but I'm also noticing the mental connection and that dopamine hit, which is so great. This morning, for whatever reason, I had forgot to set my alarm and I woke up at the time I normally am leaving to go to the gym. And my initial fight or flight, our brains are not always the best place to go and look for our thoughts are not our best place to seek solace. Actions will change your thoughts. Your thoughts don't change your actions. Actions change your thoughts. Your thoughts don't change your actions. Because my first thought was, forget it. It's too late. It's raining. This will be my one day that I sleep in. It's okay. Excuse. And then the action was no. And I physically sat up. I turned on the light next to my bed. I thought normally I would take the dog out, feed the dog, clean the dishes that are left in the drying on the counter in the sink, organize the kitchen, these types of take about 45 minutes from getting up to getting out. And I thought, wait, I just pushed all that back. I did feed the dog. I did it. I left, people who would know me, I'm very type A. The kitchen is always clean. I left those dishes that were drying on the drying rack. I know. But I was out the door in under 2 minutes. And was still groggy. I still had sheet marks on my arm from the pillow. I mean, I looked as sleepy as I felt, but I got to the gym with 2 minutes to spare from the time the session was to open. And I'm fortunate that we have fantastic culture at the gym that I go to. The coaches were there, the other participants were there. And by the time that session was over, I didn't feel all of my problems had gone away because they were still there. But I felt so proud of myself for pushing through. And I think that's one of the lines right now is pushing through.
Yeah.
Is one thing I would say. So get up. Get out of bed. I didn't make the bed. I normally do. It's now made. But getting up and showing up is important. Now, that's one. Now, you can't show up for everything. Let's, again, be kind to yourself. Show up. Prioritize. Okay? So if you have a normally packed networking event calendar, I would imagine you're going to, like for me right now, I'm going to run out of steam pretty quickly. So I will be prioritizing the events that I must go to, and I will be rescheduling the events that I don't need to go to. I usually will be running out of steam in the evening. So I am going to go and make a healthy dinner, and I am going to relax. Normally, I might be spending some more time writing or going out writing proposals or something. I'm looking at my phone, something that I would do work-wise, but I don't have the mental capacity right now. So I'm being productive at my most productive hours.
Yeah.
And I'm being kind to myself, and I'm going to bed early. And that's not because I'm feeling sorry. I am feeling sorry for myself, but that's also because I know that the sleep's important.
Yes.
And I don't want to shortchange the time I want to get up if I set my alarm, and I will set my alarm for the gym because the gym's really important for me right now. So another thing then, so be kind to yourself, feel it, acknowledge what it is. Know you're not alone. Prioritize where your mental capacity and your emotional capacity is going to be at its fullest, and don't try to stretch yourself too much, or you might find yourself crying or falling apart in the places and the areas where you really shouldn't. So that's important. And this leads me to the next part. Have trusted, confidential people in your circle. If it is a situation that, like it's a death in the family, well, then you need to be telling a lot of people because obviously your whole work reports need to know these things. However, if it is a smaller thing or something that it's not going to be beneficial for you to share with everyone, I wouldn't. Because, for example, on just a different sort of scale, I used to work with this lovely woman who had chronic back pain. And now that is essentially your world's falling apart, but it's falling apart chronically every day. And every single person in our office knew she was always going to talk about her chronic back pain. Now, I'm not saying that that's not allowed, but I'm just saying that's how she became defined. So if you are having a struggle, I would encourage you to find some trusted people you can share it with, and wisely think about with whom you don't need to share it. It doesn't need to be announced to everybody at my gym, for example. It doesn't need to be announced to every potential client or prospect that I'm working with. It might be shared with Sam because we're very close. It might be shared with my sister because she knows me inside and out. I may not share whatever it is with other close people because I don't necessarily want to give it more oxygen either. And that's important. So sometimes journaling can help you interrogate the impact, interrogate what's going on. And I think also another thing to keep us maybe in the business coaching world is the GROW model that you learn from the coaching work that I've done. So that's, of course, what's your goal? Well, your goal might be to find a new place to live because you've been told that your rental property is now going for sale and this is really devastating to you, but you've got a goal. You need to make some action around it. So let's say, what's the goal? You need to get that supervisor aware that you're falling behind on the particular project. So that's something that you know you have an intent on taking action around. Or maybe your goal is to continue to go to the gym to work through whatever pain and sadness that you're in at the moment, because at least you won't be completely falling apart and feeling worse and exasperating the situation. So what's the goal? What is the reality? Again, we're not trying to imagine things away or to pretend things haven't happened. So what is the reality? Who do you need to talk to? What are some things you can do? What's a process? What then are you willing to do at that moment? That's the O is the options, and then the W is what are you willing to do? What's your way forward? And your way forward doesn't have to be knocking 5 things off the list in one day. In fact, back to the be kind to yourself point. Slow down, breathe, sleep, reach out to one person, eat healthy, apologize if something has happened that you have some emotional responsibility for the impact around it. Think about the small but significant step that you can take. And then the last part is celebrate that you've done that. Be really conscious that you are taking steps. And if you need one day in bed, that's fine. But I would really encourage you to not let that become a warm blanket of inactivity that you wrap yourself in, because it will start to really weigh on you that you're not taking action at whatever it is. You're not making inroads on building that resilience for the next time. And that's another thing you can do is remind yourself you've gone through difficult times already. You've probably missed a deadline before, or a supervisor has said something offhand that knocks your confidence, or a partner has done something that's disappointed you, or something out of your control has happened. I mean, it's not like I'm saying that, oh, because you went through, like I did, a death of my father when I was little, that if unfortunately someone else close to me passed, I would be able to be like, oh, fine. Whether it's just to remind yourself that you have gone through things, and over time it will get better. And then another thing too is to try to get out of yourself and see how can you serve someone else.
Yes.
You know, that one for me, I got out of the gym this morning, and then the first thing that I had booked was to go interview. I do a column in the largest newspaper here in Ireland where I live. And I had a subject who I'd been wanting to do an interview on for some time. He runs the car wash in the car park at the shopping center where I go. And he's a Mexican immigrant. He is extremely kind. He smiles and waves at just about everybody that goes through that parking lot, especially repeat customers like me. But that's how I became a repeat customer. His quality work is fantastic. He has a team of 11 underneath him. And I thought, I want to share his story. So I met him for a coffee this morning. And for that hour, I was so engaged with someone else. I was completely unaware of the things that are niggling with me. And sometimes when we're hurting the most, it's the time to serve someone else, because there's always someone else out there who would benefit. Don't you think, Sam?
Yeah, absolutely.
For your reflection.
I'm actually very lucky in the fact that I'm in recovery, and there's a few things that we learn in our program, and one of them is
When you say recovery, for those who don't know.
Sorry, I'm 17 years sober. So the thing about it is you learn this thing called HALT, which means stop, right? So ask yourself, am I hungry? Am I angry? Am I lonely? Or am I tired? So if you're in a bad place as it is, and then it's feeling worse, just check, am I hungry? Am I angry? Am I lonely? Am I tired?
And then what if it's all 4?
Say that again?
And what if it's all 4?
It can be all 4. It just means you need to address where those things are.
That's actually I've never heard that acronym before, actually, Sam, and I like that a lot. Hungry, what's the A? Angry, hungry, angry, lonely, and tired. Yeah,
Yeah,
wow.
yeah, because they're the kind of things that would make my head go a little bit, "Ooh," and then this too shall pass. And like there's lots of different sayings that we learn. But even the one thing you mentioned, helping someone else can really help because it takes me out of my own head. And I've
Yeah.
often been told, do not go into your head alone. It's like going into the Bronx on your own. It's not a good idea.
If anybody's from the Bronx and that might be listening, we're not trying to specifically use the Bronx, but you're right though. Don't go into your head alone, and don't stay in your head for too long. And that's where even if you don't have a coffee scheduled like I happen to have with Daniel this morning, get on your phone and just start reaching out to people you haven't talked to for a while to check in with others. Because if you're hurting, for sure there are other people out there who are hurting as well. And your check-in can make them feel better, can make you feel better as a result. And it keeps things moving. It keeps you trying to continue to contribute even while things are difficult for yourself.
Yeah. And I know that like for the tips you've given are really, really good. And even yesterday, I was really tired and I've been trying to walk every day with the dogs because the weather's still nice and still bright out. And I was like, I'm so tired. And I went and I got up and I went out and I did, and I felt so good. And I was so proud of myself when I came home. So I know exactly what you're talking about there.
Well, physical activity is one of these things, obviously I'm not a psychologist and I'm not a doctor. And there are conditions of depression and conditions that grief can instill that might need medication. And yet there is so much research that is also out there about the benefits of physical activity, the benefits of going outside and walking. And my lovely friend, I often refer to her, Dr. Wendy Suzuki, the author of Good Anxiety and Healthy Brain, Healthy Body, talks about even just 10 minutes outside can give your whole brain a little bath of the good endorphins and the good hormones that will make you feel just a little bit better, rather than the inactivity that is largely then allowing more of your time to be spent in your head and results in deeper depression or deeper frustration or deeper feelings of helplessness or unworthiness or whatever those feelings are, or the grief that continues to grow because you're inwardly reflecting on that loss, whatever that is.
And you know what?
Yeah.
It's just, you mentioned the dishes there. Like I know someone that definitely will not go to bed if the dishes are in the sink. And I've had to bring up.
Well, that would be me. The dishes are always draining on the side. There is never is a strong word, but I would attest. There is never a dish in my sink on the wash side. They're on the drying rack because I don't use the dishwasher all that often unless there's a big dinner party, because there's not a lot of us to be like, it would take weeks to fill that dishwasher. There is never a dish in that dishwasher. And the point though is because clutter is also a contributor to feelings of helplessness or frustration, or not that sense of calm that will come if your home is clean. You are going to feel more safe. You're going to feel more peaceful. You're going to feel more calm. And there's loads of research on this. This is not me doing who's the lovely lady that does the clutter?
Maria.
Yeah, I can't think of her name. But exactly. But the point is, when you are starting to feel bad about something and you start to let things slip, like the laundry piles up, or your self-care your hygiene starts to go, or the dishes pile up, we are now adding on to the plate has the loss. The plate has whatever you're working through. But when we start to really stop moving or taking care of ourselves or picking up after ourselves or getting even to the gym or doing that walk, now we're actually putting more onto the plate, which is covering up the issue that we need to resolve, or the issue that we need to breathe and get some distance from. because of
Actually,
course grief we can't resolve other than time and hopefully some great people around you.
like I know someone who irons when there's something wrong. I
Oh,
know there's something
that
wrong.
would make things worse for me. See, that's what we all have. I never iron.
Therapy or who they vacuum.
I
But
like
there's
vacuuming. I like vacuuming. Vacuuming. Sometimes things that are repetitious
yeah.
and you'll get a result if you're vacuuming for me like gym, because the gym is often led by a coach. So I don't have to come in and go, oh, I need to do this. I need to do this. I've got someone telling me, do 20 Russian twists or whatever. I do this number of ball slams. That is different than me having to do it. And that makes a difference when I'm done. I kind of just did the motions, but someone else was telling me. So same thing if you were that repetitive of like clean your counter, put your dishes away, vacuum the house, take the dog for a walk. These types of things you can do almost without thinking, and then it's a small sense of accomplishment that can start to erode the overwhelm that you might be feeling from something else.
Like I know there's big things like, maybe you had a breakup or a divorce, you're going through a divorce, or maybe you were trying to get a house and the sale fell through, or things like that. But there's also the smaller things like oh, this wasn't done, or the dishes were left in the sink. I mean, another thing I always think in my head is I have a sign in my kitchen actually. It says, "How important is it?"
Right. Well, that's true. I mean, and
So,
I often use with my clients the Venn diagram. You remember the intersection of two circles? So there's a big sphere out there that I call things that matter. So world peace and my family's happiness, and you can put a lot in there, right? And then there's another circle that is things I can control. And
yes.
it could be I can control what I eat, or I can control um, like the way the sponge is on the counter. But then those some things I can control, but they don't matter. Some things matter that I can't control, like I can't control world peace. And so we have to look at that intersection.
Mhm.
Like you said, does it matter? What matters and what can I control? So some things are going to hurt us that we can't control.
Yeah.
And so we can then shift our focus, as hard as it is, still feel the hurt, because you're going to feel the hurt. I don't think that suppressing something is the way to, if you need to cry and you're going to fall apart in front of your teammates at that important sales meeting, run to the restroom or go find a private place and feel it for a moment. But then feel the hurt and then think about what you can control. You can control showing up on time. You can control making your bed. You can control reaching out to a couple of other people. You can control enrolling in that pottery class or that gardening class or something to get your mind out of whatever it is, something productive that you can control.
Like you can control also how you respond to that email. So sometimes, like if you want to go, like, so you can control that.
Well,
You can
that's the
actually.
great thing about ChatGPT these days. If you're dealing with, if you're dealing with someone who said something in now this is not verbal, this is in the written world. In the written world, there are a lot of things that you can get from how to respond. If a supervisor or a colleague or someone has written to you in a terse way.
Mhm.
I happen to serve on a big committee, and there's a committee, I'm the chair actually, and there's a committee member who is really just hammers out ideas all the time without any kind of context of like it's a volunteer group. How busy are we? What's going on? And the the thought initially when I get some of these emails is just go, this is, but with ChatGPT, I can respond to them very quickly, check my emotions out, keep myself in a good spot with this person, and then carry on the rest of my day. So I think there are definitely some uses for that because it can be emotionally regulating for you
Mhm.
when you are not feeling very controlled with your own emotional regulations because someone might be triggering you, has triggered you. You might be feeling more vulnerable than you should be emanating to someone. So remember, compartmentalization doesn't mean you're not dealing with whatever the it is. It means that you are strategically thinking about your audience with your communications and thinking, is this a person I have really strong, trusting relationship with? Then I might share what I'm going through, whatever that it is. Is it someone that I have low alignment with, that I probably, or low, I don't have a big relationship with them, or they're new? I'm meeting a potential client for the first time and I'm going to vomit out all the whatever I'm going through with them. That's not going to build a safety, trust building professional relationship with them, is it? So we have to be wise. Compartmentalization is not a bad thing necessarily. Not dealing with something is different than compartmentalizing it with people with whom you trust and you value their advice and their insights.
Okay, well, so to recap, acknowledge, get up and show up, prioritize, make sure that you're doing things that are within your mental capacity at that time, and share with a trusted person. Is there anything I left? Oh, and you're not alone.
Yeah, I think, and small actions to celebrate that, then, and know that over time, things will likely get better. And what the quotient is of how much time, unfortunately, nobody has the answer for that, because it's so unique to what has happened, who you are, the choices that you make. And I think I would leave with the final thought around this, which is a bit different than one of the cliches that I'm often told when there are difficult situations. People often say, from a good place, people often say everything happens for a reason. And I detest that line, because I don't believe everything happens for a reason. There is no evidence to support everything happens for a reason. My dad didn't die in a plane crash when I was 11 for a reason. My auntie didn't get breast cancer and die for a reason. Things happen. What we do with it over time gives it reason. Things happen, and how we respond to that over time gives it reason.
Lovely, Gina. Thank you so much. Folks, if you did comment, the comments aren't showing up here for some reason today, so we will get back to you on LinkedIn. Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you, Gina London. And everybody, check out Gina London's Sunday column in the Irish Independent. It's called The Communicator, and it's always extremely interesting. And do check out ginalondon.com if you need an MC, if you need a host for your event, or if you want some training on communication skills. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks so much, Sam. Everyone have a great rest of your day. We're with you.